Right now, across 11 American cities, the biggest sporting event in human history is happening. 48 teams, 104 matches, 6.5 million attendees. And FIFA, the organization running it, is set to collect $8.9 billion. Here is what the 11 US cities hosting it will collect. Nothing. Not a percentage of ticket revenue, not a share of sponsorship income, not a cut of the broadcast rights. In fact, according to Fortune, those 11 cities are collectively facing a shortfall of upwards of $250 million. FIFA makes $8.9 billion. The cities that host it lose money. Today, we are going to expose exactly how the FIFA money machine works, why the cities whose names are on the marquee end up footing the bill, and what this entire financial structure teaches about the difference between hosting an economic event and actually benefiting from one. Here is the story most World Cup coverage is not telling you. FIFA projected this tournament would generate $30.5 billion for the host nations. That number is on billboards, in press releases, in every official economic impact study FIFA has commissioned. Bank of America ran a real-time analysis of bank card transactions in the 16 host cities during the tournament. Consumer spending rose 6.3% compared to the same period last year. Tourist spending specifically rose 16.7% year over year. Both of those numbers sound good, and in isolation, they are real. But here is what Victor Matheson, a professor of economics at the College of the Holy Cross who has spent his career studying major sporting events, said directly. FIFA's forecast implies an economic impact of approximately $400 million per match. That figure is almost certainly overstated. And here is the evidence behind his skepticism. The last time the United States hosted the World Cup was 1994. Matheson and his colleague economist Robert Bod studied the actual outcomes. They found the real economic impact came in $5.5 to $9.3 billion below the initial forecasts. Not slightly below, $5 to $9 billion below. The pattern of overpromising and underdelivering is not new. It is the consistent finding of independent economic research on major sporting events across 4 decades. Here is the financial structure of the 2026 World Cup, and it is genuinely unlike any previous edition. For most of FIFA's history, World Cups were run by a local organizing committee. That committee absorbed costs. It also shared in the upside: ticket revenue, hospitality income, some sponsorship allocation. For 2026, FIFA changed the model entirely. FIFA is operating the tournament directly. It deals with host cities individually, not through national federations. And under the new structure, FIFA controls essentially all of the revenue. Television broadcasting rights, $3.925 billion. Sponsorships and commercial partnerships, a record level for any World Cup. Ticket revenue, using dynamic pricing for the first time in World Cup history, with seats at the final reaching $7,875 face value, and some appearing on secondary markets above $10,000. Hospitality packages, licensing, merchandise. Every major revenue stream, centralized, controlled by FIFA, based in Zurich, Switzerland. Fortune described it precisely. It is a franchise model, in which the franchisees pay to operate the business, and the franchisor keeps the receipts. Remember that $8.9 billion FIFA collects from this tournament? Here is the other side of that ledger. New York City's controller Mark Levine ran the numbers independently. Even if FIFA's prediction of 1.2 million regional visitors fully materialized, the additional tax revenue flowing to New York City would be no more than $55 million. While the city is on track to spend approximately $70 million on NYPD overtime, emergency management, and small business support alone. $55 million in potential revenue. $70 million in confirmed costs. In one city, hosting 8 matches, including the final. The economist Andrew Zimbalist of Smith College summarized it bluntly. There are very significant costs to host cities, which host anywhere from 4 to 8 games. It is fair to say that none of them will benefit economically from the World Cup, because they do not get the revenue. But they get the costs, which can run well over $100 million. Present the real winners and the real mechanism. Here is the honest picture of who does and does not benefit financially from the World Cup. Because it is not as simple as saying nobody wins. The hospitality sector in host cities sees real concentrated benefits. Hotels in Dallas are projecting a $1.5 to $2 billion regional impact across 9 matches. Boston projects $1.1 billion across 7 matches. The direct visitor spending in these markets is real. 16.7% higher tourist spending is a genuine, measurable increase. But here is the mechanism that limits how much of that benefit stays in the local economy. A large share of visitor accommodation spending goes to national hotel chains, whose profits flow to corporate headquarters, not to the local tax base. Transportation spending flows to Uber, airlines, and rental car companies that are not local businesses. Food spending at chains similarly exits the local economy faster than spending at independent restaurants. The local businesses that benefit most are independent hotels, local restaurants, and neighborhood attractions. But these are also the businesses that face the highest risk from the displacement effect. Regular visitors who might have come anyway, avoiding the city during the tournament specifically because of the crowds and inflated prices. Allianz Trade's economic research found that the genuine GDP boost for the US from the June and July period of the tournament is approximately $6.1 billion, not $30.5 billion. A real number, a meaningful number, but roughly 1/5 of FIFA's headline projection. And the security costs, which are entirely borne by host cities and governments, are significant and growing. The U.S. federal and local government expenditure on police overtime, border controls, cybersecurity, and emergency medical services is estimated at $700 million for the June-July period alone. These are genuine economic expenditures, but they generate no lasting economic value. They are pure cost. The World Cup is an extraordinary event. The football is genuine. The global attention is real. But the financial structure that delivers it is one of the most one-sided arrangements in modern sports economics. FIFA captures the global revenue. The cities absorb the local cost. And the gap between the two is consistently larger than the promotional materials suggest. Here are 3 specific financial lessons from how FIFA's money machine works that apply directly to your own decisions. Lesson 1. The entity that controls the revenue always wins, regardless of who does the work. FIFA spends an estimated $3.8 billion running this tournament. It collects $8.9 billion. Its margin is $5.1 billion on one event. The cities spend over $100 million each preparing for matches. They collect a fraction of the tax revenue that materializes. Their margin is often negative. In personal finance terms, this is the difference between being an employee and being an owner. The employee does the work. The owner captures the value. Building ownership stakes in assets, index funds, rental property, a business, is the only way to be on FIFA's side of that equation rather than the host city's side. Lesson 2. Projected economic benefits are almost always overstated, and the gap between projection and reality is largest when the projecting organization has a financial interest in the outcome. FIFA commissioned the study that projects $30.5 billion in economic impact. It has every financial incentive to make that number as large as possible, to attract host cities and secure public subsidies. Independent economists consistently find the real number is a fraction of the projected one. The lesson for your own financial decisions? When the person projecting the return stands to benefit from your participation, apply significant independent scrutiny before committing. This applies to investment pitch decks, franchise opportunities, and any financial projection where the projector and the investor are not the same person. Lesson 3, and this is the one that makes the entire World Cup story feel personally relevant. The winner of any large economic event is almost never the location where the event happens. It is the organization that owns the intellectual property, the broadcasting rights, and the commercial relationships. FIFA does not own a single stadium. It does not employ a single security officer. It does not bear the cost of a single road closure. It owns the brand, the rights, and the relationships, and it collects $8.9 billion. In every industry, the entity that owns the IP, the platform, or the network captures the dominant share of the economics. The entity that provides the venue, the infrastructure, or the labor captures a fraction. Investing in the IP owners, not the infrastructure providers, is the consistently documented path to capturing the economic upside of major events. The World Cup is spectacular. The matches are real. The atmosphere in those stadiums is genuinely extraordinary. But the financial structure underneath it is a masterclass in how to design an event where one party captures almost all of the economic value, and another party competes fiercely for the right to absorb most of the cost. Understanding which side of that structure you are on, in any economic relationship, is one of the most valuable financial lessons any event can teach.
Here is what the numbers actually show. FIFA collects an estimated $8.9 billion from the 2026 World Cup through broadcasting rights of $3.925 billion, record sponsorship revenue, and dynamic ticket pricing that pushed final seats above $10,000 on secondary markets. The 11 U.S. host cities collectively face a shortfall of upwards of $250 million. New York City alone is spending $70 million in confirmed costs to host 8 matches, while independent analysis suggests a maximum of $55 million in recoverable tax revenue. The real GDP boost for the US in June-July is estimated by Allianz Trade at $6.1 billion, roughly 1/5 of FIFA's $30.5 billion headline projection. 3 lessons. The entity that controls the revenue always wins. Build ownership, not participation. Projections made by parties with a financial interest in the outcome deserve independent scrutiny. And the winner of any large economic event is almost always the IP owner, not the infrastructure provider. $8.9 billion for FIFA. A $250 million shortfall for the cities whose names are on the marquee. The game on the pitch is fair. The financial structure around it is not.
If this video showed you something about how money actually moves through a major global event, hit that subscribe button. Every week on First Million Club, we pull back the curtain on exactly these kinds of financial structures, so the headline number stops being the whole story.